7 additional charges. That's how many more charges were filed against police officers Mario Lacsamana, Anthony Kenga, David Manila, and Sangja Cha and Freda Asun. All 5 defendants were handed a second superseding indictment last Friday. Additional charges include kidnapping and felonious restraint. Officer Kenga is also facing rape charges. In the original superseding indictment, Kenga was only facing attempted rape. Judge Anita Sokola did not hesitate to give her 2 cents on the surprise move.
Hey, Mr. Warner, because you have just given us an additional wrinkle in this matter. Nobody knew about this indictment that was coming forward. And of course, grand jury are all secretive.
I don't think the issues will change, but will change because of the second superseding indictment.
All 3 defense counsels for the police officers argued their motions for dismissal based on the violation of the 48-hour rule, which says a defendant must be brought before a judge within 48 hours of his arrest. The officers were arrested on Friday, November 16th, but did not see a judge until the following Monday, 11 hours after the 48 rule expired. Attorney Peter Perez cites several cases in which the law was violated, and the judges in those cases dismissed the case with prejudice, meaning the prosecution is forbidden from refiling the case. He also says the prosecution failed to demonstrate 2 exceptions to that rule, a bona fide emergency or extraordinary circumstances.
In which they say the exception should apply. And the exception should apply because they claim that Mr. Lacsamana and the defendants were arrested and they were not brought before the judge on Saturday. They claim that they believed that the defendants would be brought before the judge on Saturday. They claim that they pressed the magistrate judge to hear the matter on Saturday, and they claim that the magistrate judge continued the matter to Monday because it was a sealed case. None of these things are a bona fide emergency.
But Assistant Attorney General Leah Keir notes that the extraordinary circumstance does exist.
Here we have a case in which we have a warrant executed pursuant to a grand jury determination of probable cause. We have an attempt to bring the defendant before a magistrate judge within 48 hours that failed because they weren't transported from DOC for unknown reasons. And we have a finding by the magistrate judge of unavailability and a short delay beyond the 48-hour rules.
However, Attorney William Pohl for defendant Manila argues that letting the prosecution get away with breaking the rule renders the law meaningless.
If this court follows the government's logic, every time they hold somebody above 48 hours, they don't have to let them go, making the law meaningless. They had a second option to let the defendant go on Saturday with an order to appear on Monday. By failing to go with their second option, they're left with the consequences of their decision, which is dismissal with prejudice, Your Honor.
Attorney Levin Camacho, who represents Officer Kenga, also argued dismissal of the case based on the statute of limitations. He says the alleged crimes occurred well over 4 years ago, when the statute runs out 3 years after a crime has occurred. But Assistant Attorney General Nelson Werner says the statute does not apply when the crime is committed by a public officer or government employee while employed by the government.
They're police officers. They were arrested at the time when they were still police officers. The events occurred while they were still police officers. They were indicted at the time they were still police officers. The statute hasn't passed.